Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can make some sense of what's going on. It's Sunday. It's normally a crap day, actually, Sunday. But if there is going to be a pump on a Sunday, it's usually a really good sign that next week's going to be epic. As far as time is concerned, right? Because I've had a few people sending me messages and just general people talking to me, really. Because again, I'm not away at the moment, sort of dealing with a family emergency, so I've not been at home for a week now. But yeah, the sort of the question I've been getting is, why is it pumping? Why is crypto pumping? As if markets only move off the back of something, right? And that charts don't mean anything. There's no reflection of a chart or time or indicator or setup or signal. It's only a matter of why, right? As if somebody were to have signed some agreement to say that crypto must go up from now on. It's not really like that, is it? I mean, this is what I've been trying to say, throughout, well, what seems like the whole of this year. We got out around December and then sort of jumped back in around towards the end of January, which is a bad idea, but we did it all the same. As we saw certain things coming down to areas that I thought would be appealing. Um, but you can't get it right all the time. But for the most part, it's generally okay. Because my particular projection on crypto is that it is going to keep going up until what I expect September is the area that I've highlighted on my calendar as a time to start to be a little bit more fearful. But I was always expecting, continuation of the bull market. People like to reference how this bull market, a bit of a Freudian slip there, has been a really bad one, right? And it's been the worst bull market ever. But if you were to reflect on the way that the charts generally look, this is the total market cap, 2022, the end of the bear market, the beginning of the bull market, reclaimed moving averages, big higher high, significant higher low, significant higher high, significant higher low, and we should be looking to make our way up to another higher high. Don't say, I'm not saying we're going to go to 4.5 trillion. We could easily surpass that. I don't know what the area on the chart is that we will reach, but it does look like a pretty decent bull market as far as I'm concerned. And I always have to say, if it's a bad bull market for you, you've probably made some bad decisions, and that's fine. We all make bad decisions. Like I said, I made a bad decision around January when I started getting back in prematurely. But it's no big deal, Profit's profit, and take the hits with the losses, and the wins with the losses. But anyway, let's get down into some charts then, shall we? So there's your total market cap continuing to look like it's going to make a new high at some point between now and September, and that's again my overall expectation. Let's think about Ethereum as it's now sort of started to do something this week. Probably one of the biggest performers. Shockingly, why is it performing so well? What did someone do? What did someone say? Well, as far as the candle bodies are concerned, it seemed to have leveled out around this previous low around here. So that's decent. So we've got some significant area here and a nice big bounce around here. As far as the money flow index and the momentum is concerned, we're not looking at anything being overheated on a weekly. In fact, if anything, we should be considering that this will move between now and September to an overheated read, maybe another drive of bearish divergence on the money flow index. So, we're all the way down here in the if you want to call it something, in the oversold zone. 35.5 on the money flow index on the weekly. The last time we topped out was around 80. So we might be looking at somewhere, in towards the upper center, 60s, 70s for the money flow index to find its next peak. If we really do go truly parabolic, obviously we'll be looking for an overheated read instead. And it's at that point I can absolutely guarantee you that if we start to see parabolic moves on Ethereum into ridiculously overheated reads, you will have people out there saying, "Oh, we're early. You're early. It's $4,000. Don't worry, you're early. It's going to 10,000. Obviously." Same sort of people that were hiding in their mom's basement, a pillow over their head as we were sailing down towards these levels. Never buy. I will only buy this at $200. Anyway, trying to keep my mind off the trolls, just stick to the analysis. At the moment, though, it does look like we've reached a resistance, just a resistance. It's a 50 exponential on the weekly. It's not a death cross. This is all still golden crossed. It's converging, so we do want to reclaim it soon over the next few weeks or so. I mean, what happened to sell in May, walk away? You know, what happened to that? Same thing as Uptober or Pumptober, isn't it, really? The opposite happened. The opposite happened. Just because it rhymes doesn't make it right. So that's your weekly. Well, I've got a really terrible mouse at the moment. The mouse wheel's very twitchy. Moving ourselves over to the daily, we've reclaimed the 200 exponential, but we're still below the 200 simple, and this is a death cross. So we're talking 2,700, probably a big question mark in the short term around there. We could have easily have front run it, as today's candle body is the same as yesterday's candle body. So we, just based on that alone, might mean that we retrace some. If we do retrace some, the next major moving average that I'll be looking at, 10 exponential sitting at 2,157. That's what it is today. Now, let's zoom in very closely, if my mouse wheel allows, to have a look at our Chiku span, which was rejected on the top of the cloud. So unfortunately, until we get a higher close, it just needs to be a little higher over the next few days. There's no pump signal there. However, notice how the cloud dissipates over these next few weeks. Gives us the chance for this pump signal to take place from a lower area. In the next few days, all the way down to 2,300 by the end of the week, all the way down to 2,100. So you will get a pump signal on the Ichimoku cloud if we can just get the cheeky span to close out of there. All the other components of the pump signal, being the cross here and the green portion of the cloud, price being above the cloud, and then just the cheeky span. Those four components gives you the pump signal that we will want to see, and that pump signal will, well, as far as the daily is concerned, take you up to the next major level of resistance, which still, to be honest with you, is here and this horizontal 2,800. So that wherever we pump from, whether we get higher and pump from here and break through, that'd be great, or over the next week or so we pump from a lower area, the targets are still kind of around here. But once you've reclaimed that, 3,000 and beyond, that would be the target. Next big major target beyond 2,800 is around about 3,000, 3,100-ish area. Right, so that's Ethereum. We're looking at Ethereum just for a laugh, really, because it does influence the dominance chart dramatically. So we're going to look at the dominance chart now, which has sort of gone down quite sharply these last few days, as you'd expect. We have been thinking about this for a while now. Based on the weekly, there was signs of an alt season. Now, I talk about signals and signs of alt seasons probably more than I should, but that's only because they're present on the chart. It doesn't mean that I see them, they must happen. It means that, okay, I see them, let's expect it, but if it doesn't happen, that's trading. It's the name of the game. You don't always get the payoff that the signal suggests. We had a very high read, 86.5 on the money flow index, and if we could zoom out, there was only this one over here back in 2018, and this other one here when altcoins were basically in their absolute infancy, that was higher than that. So we've had much bigger alt seasons from much lower areas on the on the dominance chart here, and now we're seeing a bit of a reaction. Now, we're above all moving averages, allowing ourselves to be collected and bounced from any one of these areas. That's the truth. But we do have one big drive bearish divergence if you measure here to here. So there is again another sign that we might be able to see continuation from this. Again, I'm being cautious with my words, recognizing that we are at resistance for Ethereum, more or less, and it is a Sunday, and there is probably a fair bit of euphoria in the market these last few days, which can lead to disappointment in the end, Remember, if something's pumped a load, everyone's going to be bullish. If something's gone down a load, everyone's going to be bearish. You'll never really find a case, or many influencers at all, if you want to call them that. Traders should be the best people to watch, not just an influencer, a trader. You don't really see many people calling, I think the opposite's going to happen from this area. You'll only really, even the top people on Twitter, I always see this, stating the obvious. Like, and you get all this engagement about, um, Ethereum's just hit 2,500. I'm like, yeah, I know, I've seen it myself. I don't need your tweet to remind me. Jesus, what's going on here? And then everybody's loving it and sharing it. What is going on with the world? Should I just state the obvious as well? Sky's blue today. Oh my God, the sky's blue. Oh my God, love it. Um, so yeah, all I'm trying to point out is that I have been trying to say that there could be a decent reaction from this rough area on the dominance chart. We are sort of getting it. That doesn't make me right. I'm just pointing it out. We've lost a pretty decent area now on the dominance chart, which is good for altcoins. 63.5% dominance. Next area on the on the supports are 61% dominant. If we move to the higher term timeframes, we can get relatively optimistic and excited because I would be looking for this to take place between now and September, really. But that doesn't mean it's going to go all the way down. It could go down. It could go back up. It could go down, up, down. Yeah, that's how we could be moving. Similar to my general expectation of the Dixie. Those of you who follow me or are part of the Patreon know that my expectation of the Dixie was one of a downtrend from this rough area, and it looks like we're about to, well, confirm my suspicions, really. I remember as we were floating around here, do you remember what everyone was saying? The Dixie's going up, 120 and then beyond. Yeah. But now it looks like it's going down massively, following my general projection, where we will, well, again, when the model fits, you go with the model. As we approach and hit this area, which is going to be around 96-ish area, that's where we should probably see an accumulation and then a bounce and then move to 120 maybe. If we break down from here though, well, that's a big deal. And I would actually at that point maybe start to entertain a little bit more about the idea that the 4-year cycle could be extended, and that's only because this giant model of the Dixie will have effectively broken for the first time since its inception. The support was in 2011. So this has been going on for almost 15 years now. 15-year ascending channel, a rising channel, which is getting ready to break down. And if that's the case, you'd see the dollar move down towards the upper 80s. I don't think we'll be going any lower than that. And then from there, you'd see a big bounce, and probably over a course of, well, many years, we'll crawl back up to 120 and maybe even higher than that. Anyways, yeah, that's how the Dixie looks. The last thing I'm going to show you, just for an overview, USDT.D, the Tether dominance. Now, the Tether dominance is important. It's still very important, despite, I think, the whole of the EU not using it anymore. That will have affected the chart some. But what we see is the Tether dominance on the weekly having a nice increase, sharp drop off, and now we've lost the rising channel, similar to how I think the Dixie is going to play, or there's a good chance that the Dixie will play. Now if we zoom right in, come on. You know, I'm always only as strong as my weakest link, and at the moment my weakest link is this bloody mouse wheel. I mean, I'm on the crappy laptop that I have, because I refuse to buy another. Because if I was to buy an expensive laptop, it would break. It's sod's law that when you buy the cheap one, it lasts forever. So what we'll be looking at now is actually continuation on the Tether dominance down towards 3.8, which still gives us a little bit more party time, I'd say, on the weekly. So in the short term, we are at resistance for cryptos. You know, Bitcoin is above that 102, which is what I thought was the resistance. We're at 103 at the moment. Ethereum, you know, 205, 206, 207, which is kind of where we are at right now, more or less. Resistance. So respect it for what it is. You must respect it. But the other charts, being the total market cap, the Bitcoin dominance, and the Tether dominance chart suggest, and the Dixie, all point to continuation on a higher term time frame. So we're talking weekly. We're talking over a period of weeks and months, we should be looking at continuation. So trading is one thing, we like to trade. Hodling is another thing, we like to hodl. Now, because I've always highlighted September as the time where I'm considering at least limiting a large portion of hodls, because that's where I feel like would make a natural high around those areas. It could be before that. It's probably, if anything, going to be after that, but around that September, looking to limit positions. That means that I'm looking at some of the some of the coins I've got in staking and taking them out. Not yet. Most of the time, it's a 2, 3, or 4 week period to cool off from, which gives us plenty of time to be ready for that. But I do want to be ready. Some things I'm going to leave and stake for a long period of time, like Atom, as you all know, got a very long journey ahead with Atom, a 10-year journey. But for the other things, I just want to make sure I'm ready to offload on the market. So just be prepared. If you're on the same page as me, if you think that the peak is going to be this year and third to fourth quarter, you want to make sure that you have the capacity to sell around those areas. But if you have a different expectation, do what you think is right. I always just tell you what my plans are and what my thoughts on the market are. I don't want to prescribe anything to anybody because nobody has a bloody clue what's going on with all of this. Right, so I am going to leave it with you there. Hopefully that video is somewhat interesting and useful, or just to get my thoughts out there. I know I've not been around much, but again, it's one of those things, sometimes other things have to take priority. I will try to be present for the stream tonight. I will honestly try to do that. I can't guarantee it, unfortunately, but I will definitely try. But yeah, stuff's going on at the moment. Right, so I'm going to leave it with you there. And then I'm going to play Cursed Randomizer on Roblox with my daughters. Yeah, the internet's not all that bad after all, is it? We might be hundreds of miles apart, but we can still play Cursed Randomizer together. Right, I'll leave it with you there. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.